Well, hello there.
Well, if there's one thing I love, it's truth in advertising. The man sang they're dancing in Chicago, and damned if they weren't dancing in Chicago.
And you are in Chicago.
I am in Chicago. I'm actually on stage at Wrigley Field. And
What
man,
fun.
there are a few venues in the world that deserve the adjective hallowed. This is the shrine of baseball. It's one of the best places in the world to watch a baseball game. Who knew it would be one of the best places in the world to watch a Dead and Company show? And every available seat in this place is filled. The bleachers are not being sold, of course, but way up into the upper deck, every seat. And in fact, the seats that they
Nice.
sell across the street for people to watch Cubs games, there are people
Yeah.
dancing on the rooftops
All
across the street
right.
here at Wrigley. Amazing, ecstatic crowd. The band always brings it here in Chicago in general.
Yeah.
And oh
Yeah.
man, this is another one of those first sets where I'm asking, wait, is this version of this song yet another one for the ages? And
Oh. Well, I
they're
actually get. I got here a little late because I came in late from my other thing there, and I didn't. I thought the show was starting at 5, and it started at a quarter to 5, so I missed the first couple of things, which is a great example of why Nugsnet is so damn cool. Because when the show is over, I can go back and start it up again and watch everything that I missed in the first set,
that's
which
right, you're
I wrote
covered.
down though. Let me run
Good.
down the list here while we can talk about it. Excuse me. They began with playing in the band, Deal, Tennessee Jed, It Hurts Me Too, Ramble on Rose, Brown Eyed Women, Crazy Fingers with a luscious jam out into Dancing in the Streets.
And I don't know exactly where you jumped in, but the plane was big and powerful. The segue into Deal and then the segue in return into Tennessee Jed
Oh,
was
see, I
just
missed all that.
immaculate.
I got here in
Yeah.
the middle of Tennessee Jet, so I can't wait to go back because the rest of the set, I agree with you. It's just first rate stuff coming off that stage every time. And I agree with you about Chicago. I've been to see Dead and Company at Wrigley a couple of times. And of course, we had Fairly Well there in 2015. So, yeah, I agree with you. Chicago's a great place to see this kind of music.
Yeah, it is. And I only got minimal grief for my Yankees hat. So, uh, and it was from a Red Sox fan, not a Cubs fan. So that's very typical. But anyway, I am really glad to be here. I love this town in general. Such a great music town, theater town, cultural town. I may even wake up kind of early tomorrow and do some real Chicago things. But except I think tonight I may go to LPGOB's after party for a
Ah,
little
very
bit at
good.
least. I'll
Cool.
probably keel over a little bit early because I've been up a very long time today. But uh, anyway, we are here. We're so fortunate to be here on behalf of Nugs.net, who are bringing you this show, this tour in beautiful HD and 4K video. And you can avail yourself of it. If you are watching this on the free preview of set number two, uh, you can also go back and watch the free preview of set one, which will be the first song of that set. Uh, but then we hope you will be enticed. We think you should be enticed to go back and purchase the entire show. And some people who have purchased the entire show said, "What the hell? I'm enticed to purchase the entire tour," which is all available as a big package, or you can go a la carte. If you've heard your friends raving about a particular show, you can own it or own it for 48 hours. You watch it, and then
Hmm.
after you start watching it, you have 48 hours to watch it as many times as you want, which could be many.
As I noted, I've rewatched the show in that 48-hour window several times over the course of this tour to catch the things that I've missed because I'm studying this music fairly closely. But there's also the streaming service, which makes the entire archive of Dead and Company shows going back to 2016 available for your listening pleasure. You can trace the development of this band all the way through to what apparently is close to its end now.
Yes, this permutation of this music, but this music keeps repermutating
It
itself.
sure
If
does.
that is indeed a verb, and I'm looking forward to where the verb goes from here because these guys keep coming up with new angles and freshening their own perspective of it. The other night, Mickey Hart, we know the drum sequences have been just beyond uh, even what we knew Mickey was capable of. The other night he was doing samples of John Cage prepared piano in the middle of drums.
Oh,
Now,
that's what that was.
yes, if you
Okay.
look into the life and music of John Cage, he's someone who Mickey has always revered, and uh, every night of this tour, Mickey has a theme. He has something specific from the world, from the universe of music, literally from the universe, because he incorporates sounds from like space telescopes and things like that.
That's
Uh,
right.
Mickey Hart is one of the most joyously obsessed people I've ever known, and those obsessions come back to us in the benefits of the incredible things he produces. So uh, that's another thing to check out about these shows: the drums with O'Teal as the rhythm devil and Jay Lane. They've really been
Well, and
spectacular.
and that actually leads me to another thing I hadn't really given that much thought to. I'm making notes and extracting my favorite passages, for my radio shows and stuff. But I just realized it's possible to go back at the end of the tour, and if you're the sort that wants to figure those things out, you can sort of go, man, that Cumberland Blues on, so and so date really was better than the one from over there. You can do a little vertical tasting of Cumberland Blues and that kind of thing from the whole tour, or even trace the evolution of Cumberland Blues going back to the beginning of Dead and Company.
That's right. And of course, you could also go back and trace other pre Dead and Company incarnations. They've got Bob Weir and Wolf Bros. They've got many of the Grateful Dead family bands. And they've also got a lot of the new generation players who have been inspired by the Grateful Dead, are delivering new music, original music of their own that's inspired by the Grateful Dead. Bands like Fish and Moe and Goose and Humphreys McGee and many others. And then for us old school rock folks, you've got people like Bruce Springsteen and you've got Wilco. I don't know if Wilco wants to be called old school, but they're like nearly a 40-year-old alt rock band now, so I guess they are. And there's so much good stuff out there to be heard in nugs.net, and it's all brought to you in incredibly high quality sound. The care that goes into these shows, I was out in the house at Soundboard listening to Derek Featherstone's amazing house mix, and I think in the second set I'll probably do my ritual of going way up to the top of the third deck to listen to drums. Uh, it sounds great in the house, but what you're hearing out there in the world, the live mix is by Ross Harris, who does an amazing job in real time. And then after the show is over, John Altschuler, a brilliant remix and mastering and all that engineer, does another tweak on the show. So the version that you can get for download or for streaming is yet another generation refined, and it sounds like an instant live album. It sounds better than many live albums that people labored over on multi-track for months before they put it out. So it's really an incredible enterprise. And while we're giving due credit to our friends at nugs.net, uh, first of all, our friend Lonnie Davis has been working with us most of this season. And this is his last night working on site with us. I'm happy to say Lonnie's going to keep working on these shows, but from a remote location. Doing a show from a remote location. Does that sound familiar, David? We've done
I'm
it.
doing that right now, Gary.
That's right. And taking over, but we're really happy Lonnie will still be working with us. And taking over the reins as of tonight on site is Johnny Cunningham. So we welcome Johnny and we
Hi,
thank him in
Johnny. Thank
advance
you.
for all the great work he's going to do. And we have a great team here. We are really honored to work with them. And we really hope you will examine nugs.net more closely. And
He's
with that,
absolutely
maybe
right, friends.
we should get on to our interview of the night. Um,
Let's do
I
that.
have I have the one technical difficulty caveat to give you. When we recorded this interview, somehow my lighting was the same as I always use, but somehow a greenish tinge was imparted to me. So you will see me glowing green. There is no danger of plutonium exposure at home by watching this. Next, everything's going to be fine. Other than that, the interview is impeccable. Just avert your eyes from me because it's kind of ghoulish looking. Uh, our subject looks fine. David looks splendid. But we interviewed our old friend Cameron Sears, who's been doing the great work of the Rex Foundation for so many years, and he will explain a lot about Rex. And we hope he will entice you to check out Rex and support it, and all the other fine charities that Rex supports. So, shall we
That's
get
right.
to that?
Well,
And
yes, but I
then,
should remind people that we
yes,
will
please.
not be coming back after
Yes,
the
that's right.
pre-recorded interview. We're just going to return it to the stage. There'll be a little card that says, please stand by until the band retakes the stage, and then they'll play set two. And as I said earlier, if you're looking at this as the free preview tonight on YouTube, I would recommend that you join me in buying the stream and going back and listening to the whole thing from the beginning as soon as it's over. Hearing his show twice is not a bad idea at all. Anyway, onward.
Indeed.
Cameron Sears, rexfoundation.org. Take it away.
We are very happy to have a good friend of ours from the Grateful Dead family, and in more recent years, the executive director of one of the best things ever to come out of the Grateful Dead family, the Rex Foundation, Cameron Sears. Hey, Cameron.
What's happening, Gary? How are you?
Good.
Good to see you, David.
We are enjoying our summer tour with Dead and Company, and we're having a great time doing these interviews, and it's lovely to have you with us again this year.
Good to be back. It seems like it's an annual occurrence these days.
Yeah, really. I think you've done every tour with us because we love getting the word out about Rex, and it's not unpleasant to see you either. So
back at you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Cameron, for those who don't know, Cameron managed the Grateful Dead through some of their most immense years of success, doing all these stadium tours. And here we are all these years later. Cameron, could you ever imagine when the Grateful Dead officially called it quits in 1995, we'd still be seeing these guys filling stadiums all over the country and audiences still loving this music?
Well, there's so many reasons for it, but to say that it's mind-boggling would be an understatement, to be sure. From the perspective that we all had after Jerry's passing, we just didn't imagine any of this would come to the fruition that it has. And, here we are. And, for me personally, I think it's just a great testament to the music, the songs, the community. Everything about it is just fantastic in my opinion. And me personally, I'm especially looking forward to the shows up at Fenway Park. So that's coming up pretty soon. My son Harrison has now been working at Fenway. This is his second summer in the concerts program there, and it's him and three other people in the division of the ballpark. And I'm going to get a kick out of seeing the guy see him. The last time they saw him, he was probably 10 or something, and now he's 21 and 6'5". So
Wow.
You let your kid go into the family business?
It wasn't without a few discussions. Yeah, he's third generation when you think about it. Eileen,
right.
Cassidy, me. So I guess he was destined to it in some ways, but he's loving it. He's really looking forward to having them at Fenway.
Wonderful.
Cameron, I hope you can resist kibitzing during the settlement at the Fenway.
Yeah. Yeah, those stadium settlements, they took a long time. I remember one at Giant Stadium. I didn't get back to the hotel until like 4:30 in the morning, and we still weren't done.
Wow.
So we had to fly to the next city and pick it up, the next day. It's just like
incredible,
ridiculous.
And all those years of herding cats and making sure that the band members got into the van and got onto the stage and all that stuff, has all of that wisdom served you well in the intervening years?
I'd like to think it has. I certainly, as crazy as it all was, it would be hard to replicate that level of craziness. So, I feel a lot more relaxed, at points. So that I like that, but I certainly love the live show environment. That's really kind of where I shine, I think, and what I enjoyed most is just, you see it. The beauty of live entertainment is that on a nightly basis, you see the fruits of your labor. So every night, when I had the chance to tell Robbie, okay, let's take out the house lights, the show's about to start, boom, that doesn't get much better than that when you're working with the Grateful Dead, really. Yeah. So
it pays off every night in that moment, when you hear that sound from the crowd, when the band's hitting the stage, most of your work for the evening is over until the settlement, at least. And you can just enjoy it with everyone else. You were talking about how this community is endured, and there may be no more kind of heartwarming manifestation of that been the Rex Foundation's continued vitality and continued good work. So let's talk about that. We have a lot of new fans. Every time these guys go out on tour, they're new fans. So let's give like just a brief idea of the Rex Foundation's genesis and just about 40-year history now.
Yeah, it is 40 years.
No,
Coming on 40 years.
40.
No,
40.
40.
Early 80s. That's right.
84, founded in 83, first show was in 84. And, the Rex Foundation, grew out of I've said this before and I'll say it again, the ethos of the 60s and Haight-Ashbury has stayed with these fine people since their inception, really. And a big component of that, especially in the Haight, was, if somebody needed help, you helped them out, basically. And the first show that the Grateful Dead ever did was a benefit for Bill Graham and the Meme Troupe, right? We all know that. And then, from there, it just was nonstop. And in that process, they rarely, if ever, said no, but the requests kept mounting to the point where they had to start really evaluating how many benefits and who they could do these things for. It wasn't, just going down and playing at the Fillmore anymore. It was stadiums, it was big shows, and we were traveling and working so much that something had to change. And
I remember in '83 there was a little run of shows at the Warfield in San Francisco that they called the shotgun benefits, because they had this huge list of people that they were raising money for. And I think somebody must have said, why don't we start a nonprofit so we can organize this?
Yes, well, that somebody was the perennial answer man for all the weighty questions, and that was Danny Rifkin. Danny had the good wisdom to say, rather than have the band choose which, are we going to cure blindness with SABA this time, or are we going to end smallpox, or are we going to feed the, why don't we take control of that decision making, create our own foundation, have the money come into us, and then we'll dole it out in smaller increments to as many people as we can. And that modality is what has served us all these years. So we have kept true to that vision, and it's served us well. And we're closing in on $10 million of grants that have been made to close to 1,400 organizations. So
that's great.
It's pretty phenomenal when you think about it. And the other gratifying aspect of it is that a lot of the younger bands that have come up since we started this project have emulated it. A lot of people have emulated a lot of aspects of Grateful Dead business practices and approaches, but I'm happy that they've continued the philanthropic approach as well. A lot of groups have their own foundations and their own way of distributing money and ways that they want to do it, and all the power to them, and there's tax advantages to doing it that way, and you can control the flow of information. You have a process where people who approach you about wanting help can be helped. So it really works.
And it also gives us a simple place to send everybody who wants to know more about it. We don't
Right.
have to say, well, the Grateful Dead gave money to these 32 organizations. We say, go to the Rex Foundation, look at the page showing the history of philanthropy that this organization has delivered.
Yeah, back in the day, the only way that information really got disseminated was when we would do a show and we'd have some tables at it, but it never could meet the plethora of grantees that had been granted to. It is a much bigger endeavor, and fortunately the website does allow for a greater dissemination of that info.
And to help raise the profile of your beneficiaries as well. 'Cause that stuff
Precisely.
is always there. That's great.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We want to connect people with one another and with the community. And, I think a lot of the grantees have actually had great success having received a grant from the Rex Foundation, because we're kind of an established philanthropic organization now. And it's a little bit of a good housekeeping seal of approval that we've vetted it. We've gone through our process. We've awarded them a grant, and people who are looking at giving them additional grants from different walks of life see that as a good omen for success.
Yeah, and one thing I've always loved about Rex was raising tens of millions of dollars, yes, but it really reflected like individual passions within the Grateful Dead. Like if band members had a specific thing that they really wanted to bring to people's attention or fund, pretty much everyone in the organization had some input. Just a few days ago, we talked to John Leopold from the Arhoolie Foundation, and Chris Strackwitz, the late great Chris Strackwitz, was a
Right.
recipient of the Rex's Ralph Bay Gleason Award because he nurtured so much of the roots music that informed the music the Grateful Dead made.
Right. Well, on that note, John was a longstanding Rex Foundation board member, and he and I were together just this past Jazz Fest in May, right before Chris passed. He had a beautiful exhibit of Chris's photographs. It was a fabulous Jazz Fest, and Rex was there because some promoters, Paul Levin and Gideon Plotnicki, do the Days Between event, which takes place now. This was its second year in New Orleans. Between the two weekends, they do Halloween and they do some other festivals throughout the country. And they wanted to bring Rex in because they were using the Days Between moniker, excuse me. And we wanted to give some grants in New Orleans. So we raised money in New Orleans. We re-granted that money back into New Orleans.
Oh, great.
And it's just been fantastic. So that's an example of a couple of deadheads who got into the music business, have done great for themselves, want to give back, want to figure out a good way to do it, and came to us, and we partnered with them, and it was just a fabulous experience. And we found some really great grantees in New Orleans. This is our second year. We've given, probably close to 10 different grants since we started this with them. And we're looking at expanding it next year at the next Jazz Fest. So, we as speaking to the community, we're now doing a lot of different events around the country, be they baseball, hockey games, people who are doing their own events and giving us money, where we're trying to find grantees in the locales that these events take place to re-grant to.
Yeah.
How many baseball teams this year? They've been expanding that program.
Yeah, I think we're up to 10 this year. We've got a great thing happening with Jerry Nights in addition to Grateful Dead Nights. The Jerry Nights have been very popular, and now people are branching out. It's not just one night. For example, the Yankees are going to be doing a homestand, and the whole homestand, people are going to get a Jerry bobblehead, and we get the benefit of being exposed to 6 nights worth of baseball, or
wow.
I don't know if it's 6 or 4, but it's more than just one night, which right. I think that might be a first. Usually these are singular nights, whether it's a Star Wars night or a Flintstone night or a Grateful Dead night, So yeah. It's interesting that evolution has occurred, and we're doing hockey games now and different things, and it's really great.
Right. And Cameron, it was a great testament to your devotion to Rex that you were able to abide the sight of a Jerry bobblehead and Yankee pinstripes as a Red Sox fan.
I did. I've even sent a few to a couple of New York Yankee fans. I sent one to one of my dear friends. I actually sent him the wrong one. I sent him the Red Sox one, and he thought that maybe I was trying to put a hex on him or something like that, which, And when I thought about it, I thought that might not be such a bad idea. Actually, I should plant them in different places. So, yeah, I love the Jerry bobbleheads. It's just a great concept.
Really.
We did.
Sorry,
I want to mention one other thing about the community and events, because this event just took place this past weekend. I think you guys are probably familiar with the Ardmore Music Hall in Ardmore, yes. Pennsylvania. And so I met a gentleman, Scott Shapiro, who lives in that neck of the woods, longtime fan of the band. He wanted to do something philanthropic with Camp Winter Rainbow and Rex. He was celebrating his birthday. This was, 6 or 7 years ago. And he said, do you think we could find a way to put together an event? And I said, well, we do that. I guide him through the process. He has a fabulous poster collection. And so he threw himself a birthday party, and people showed up and they raised money. And he said, well, next time I want to do it at the Ardmore, and Chris Peralta, who is kind of the venue owner and principal there, got involved. And now it's been 6 years, and they've raised over $100,000 for Rex and Camp Winter Rainbow. And this is a couple, a deadhead who came out to us, who loves the music, loves what we're about, understands it completely, and throws himself a birthday party, and it turns out to be a source of funds for us to make grants with.
Wasn't it 2 days this year?
It was 2 days, and it was just a fabulous, fabulous event. And it's the fact that it's now in its 6th year, and it's getting bigger and stronger. And Steve Kimmock's there, Carl Denson's there, Peter Rowan's there, Levo's there. All of our friends are there performing. The music starts at 5 and it doesn't end until like 2 in the morning, and people are just having a great time. And we that to me is like the ultimate manifestation of all these people who appreciate the music, musicians coming together with fans who are willing to embrace it in whatever form it's presented to them in, all on behalf of Rex. It's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about what they've done.
Are there more new things on the horizon that we want people to know about? We're starting to run out of time here because we have to go back to the stage in a couple of minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I look for some big announcements towards the end of the year. We got an exciting concept for next year that I can't divulge yet, but it's gonna be fun, and I can't wait to bring it to everybody. We're gonna have an exciting December event at the Fillmore that we'll be announcing in September. That I think people are going to be very interested in. So keep an eye and ear open for that. We're just on a roll. We're having a lot of fun. We're making some great grants. It's gratifying to see the support that we've been receiving from all kinds of places. It's a testament to everything that we all know about this community, about the music, about the passion of the band, and how it all has kind of coalesced into this undefinable yet ever growing, ever strengthening community. It's awesome.
Well put. And that may be as good a note as any to leave on. But Cameron, it's always great to see you. Thanks.
Likewise.
For good works. Maybe I'll see you at Fenway.
I hope you do.
We'll be rooting for the same team at Fenway this time.
We will be. Yes, we will. I hope we do see each other. By all means, Gary, I'll look for you.
Great.
Okay, David, it's good to see you.
You too, Cameron. RexFoundation.org. Everybody take a look, see what they've been doing for the last 40 years, and find a way to contribute yourself as well. Thank you, Cameron.
Right on. Thank you, guys. Be well.
Still had to stand out in the pouring rain. 'Cause one last voice is calling you, and I guess it's